They tell you ghosts aren't real, that science explains everything, that what you see in the dark is just your mind playing tricks. But what if the mind isn't lying? What if the silence has a voice? And what if the stories they buried were never meant to stay hidden? Because some hauntings aren't legends, they're warnings, and tonight, you'll hear the ones they tried to erase. It began decades ago, in a small forgotten town tucked between misty hills and an abandoned railway line. A town called Coldwater, where fog never lifted and locals refused to speak after sunset, because they knew something waited in the stillness, something old, something hungry. For years, strange things happened. Animals found drained of blood, children whispering to invisible friends, houses where mirrors showed people who weren't there. The government called it hysteria, sealed the records, and warned the press to move on. But one reporter didn't. Her name was Evelyn Cross, a journalist obsessed with truth, the kind that ruins careers and shakes belief. She arrived in Coldwater in 1984, notebook in hand, ready to uncover what officials called local folklore. But what she found wasn't folklore, it was evidence. Hidden tapes from a psychiatric ward where patients screamed about shadows that crawled on ceilings, old photographs of faces pressed against windows in empty homes, and letters from priests who begged for exorcisms they were forbidden to perform. Evelyn wrote everything, her notes describing the town's dark center, a place locals called the Hollow. It was an underground network of tunnels built before World War II, used first for coal, then for something else, something darker. People said the air down there whispered your name, that if you stayed too long, you'd hear breathing that wasn't yours. Evelyn went down once, recording everything, her last entry reading, "They don't want this found. The voices know my name." She never came back. Days later, her tape recorder was found on the surface, still running, the final minute filled with heavy breathing and a faint voice whispering, "She sees us." The government sealed the tunnels, built a steel gate over the entrance, and told everyone it was unsafe due to gas leaks. Coldwater was erased from maps, its population relocated, its existence denied, but strange radio interference still came from that area. Low-frequency whispers repeating the same words again and again. We remember. Years passed. The world moved on. But in 2006, a group of urban explorers stumbled upon the old town by accident. Their footage, uploaded to a forgotten forum, showed decaying homes, school desks covered in dust, and walls scratched with hundreds of names. At first, nothing unusual, until one camera caught a figure standing motionless at the end of the street, pale and tall, its head tilted, watching. They ran, screaming, and one member, Jake, said later that it followed them in the reflection of their car mirror for miles, even though no one was on the road. Jake released a short clip online, showing what looked like static until you slow it down. Frame by frame, you can see a face, no eyes, no mouth, just smooth skin and a faint movement, as if breathing. The video spread like wildfire, but soon vanished, deleted by unknown sources, accounts suspended, IPs traced to nowhere. Jake disappeared 2 weeks later. Researchers who tried to find Coldwater met with blocked coordinates, military warnings, and corrupted GPS signals. Some believe the hauntings were connected to an old experiment, a failed government project known only as the Silent Room. Files recovered by hackers described psychic resonance, testing, attempts to communicate with consciousness after death. It claimed subjects heard voices through static, and those who stayed in contact too long began to mimic the dead. In 2011, an ex-technician anonymously uploaded an audio file to a dark web archive titled Proof They Never Left. It began with white noise, then a soft voice, Evelyn's voice, saying, "If you're hearing this, it's already inside you." Listeners reported strange side effects, cold air, faint breathing near their ears, and in some cases, whispers repeating their own names hours later. The file was deleted days later, but copies still circulate, always slightly distorted, always ending with the same chilling words, "Truth never dies." Those who've studied hauntings know one truth. The scariest ghosts aren't the ones you see, but the ones you hear, because sound lives longer than sight. Old cassette tapes, static on radios, even your phone's background hum. They say spirits use frequencies to cross over, and Coldwater was full of them. In one surviving piece of evidence, a janitor from the psychiatric ward described how speakers would turn on by themselves at night, playing lullabies that no one remembered recording, and when they unplugged the system, the music kept playing. By 2018, a YouTube channel called Hidden Evidence began revisiting Evelyn Cross's case, posting clips, witness accounts, and declassified files. Their most viewed video, The Hollow Speaks, claimed to play the original recording from the tunnels, but midway through, the audio changes. You can hear Evelyn gasp, then a voice overlapping hers, low, echoing, almost mechanical, saying, "This is not your story." The video abruptly ends, and hours later, the entire channel vanished. Experts called it a hoax. Skeptics called it marketing. But residents near the old Coldwater site reported blackouts, drones malfunctioning midair, and strange chants echoing through the woods on still nights. Some hikers went missing, and when rescue teams arrived, they found symbols carved into trees, spirals, circles, names, always ending with EC. Now, new evidence has emerged. A construction crew restoring the old railway unearthed a buried cassette labeled simply "Do Not Play." When restored and played, it contained faint female laughter, static, and then one unmistakable line, Evelyn's voice saying, "They're still here, and they remember you." The audio engineer who restored it refused to keep working, claiming he heard whispers even after removing his headphones, and later left a note saying, "The voices travel through signal." To this day, Coldwater remains unmarked, its coordinates blacked out, but late at night, on certain radio frequencies between 17.8 and 18 megahertz, people claim to hear faint voices repeating lost names. They say if you listen long enough, you'll hear Evelyn asking, "Do you believe me now?" followed by static that feels alive. Maybe that's why they silenced her, why they buried the files, why they made sure no one would find the truth, because what she discovered wasn't just haunting, it was contagious, spreading through sound, through memory, through anyone who listens too closely. And maybe, right now, as you hear this, you feel that chill creeping up your spine, the soft hum behind the silence, the faint whisper beneath my voice, because some stories don't end when you stop listening. They wait, they follow, and they find a way back, reminding us that truth doesn't rest in peace. It lingers, it breathes, it calls, and it's closer than you think.